So, welcome, Ray
Well,
Maor.
Welcome, welcome.
I'm
thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. I've been so happy all day. I've almost been in tears with gratitude.
And I'm very appreciative that you allow me to help you with this project because I feel that it's a project that can help a lot of people.
Yeah, thank you. That is so great that you see the vastness of where it can go. So we really want to just keep doing it and keep going. So, and we're so happy you're here today, and you have been a part of my journey for so many years. I think I started watching your videos like 8 years ago or something, and they were very different from today. But
They are.
but I got so much out of them, and you've been such a big inspiration for me, and you're like my big brother, really. So it's just such a pleasure to have you here. And yeah, I also want to introduce your two books. So
Yes.
I will just show them up here.
And we also have them, they're linked on our website, on the front
Yeah.
page to our website. They're linked to Amazon.
Awesome. So you're working on the manifestation powers, are you?
Definitely. And yeah, you've been a great help with that as well. But also this book, A Year Without Food, it's such an amazing book. It just takes you way beyond anything you can imagine, So I really recommend for the viewers to get these books. And so this book, the new book, Soul, Spirit and Savings, we were hoping that you would talk about a little bit today, and we'll talk about that later. But I think first of all, like we should tell the viewers, like, how did you even become breatharian? It's such a crazy road to go.
Oh, sure, of course. It was about 2012, in the middle of the year. I was volunteering in Tel Aviv because I live in Israel, in a place of, new age people. And we were about 100 people doing really good for society. We were visiting in hospital people that didn't have any family. And we were getting on buses and starting singing, just making people a little bit more higher, getting the frequency higher. And one day, one of the people that were volunteering with me, he just came, he took me to the side and told me his secret. And he told me, he said, Ray, I don't tell this to anyone, but I haven't been eating for a year and 7 months. I remember it was very specific. And I was like, what? This doesn't make any sense. And I started, like everybody, when they hear it for the first time, I started asking all these questions because I'm a very mental, scientifically oriented person and I wanted to understand. So he just explained to me that he went through an initiation in Brazil, and it was very interesting. And ever since then, he just drinks, and he doesn't drink a lot. He doesn't drink because he needs to. He drinks because he wants to play something with it in his mouth. So I became very curious. And over the course of, I think, another 1 month or 2 months or something like that, I had a few ayahuasca ceremonies. And every time I had an ayahuasca ceremony, every time I had a meditation, I saw in front of my eyes myself going through this initiation that he was talking about. So I had absolutely no doubt that this was a higher calling, and this is in my destiny, in my path for me to do something like that. So I was smart, and I told him, okay, in the end of 2012, the world was supposed to explode or something big was supposed to happen. So I said, okay, I'm going to schedule my initiation for the beginning of 2013, and this way, if the world will explode, I won't have to do it. And of course, 2012 came and passed, and everybody was okay. So I had to do my initiation, and it was amazing. It wasn't as challenging as I see with my students because I'm not emotionally bound like a lot of other people. I don't have a lot of emotional release because I don't get depressed easily and I don't suppress. And what I had was boredom because our initiations back in the day were 3 weeks. And after that, wow, so many things changed. I came because I thought it's about food, but it's not about food. It's about a frequency, like Hilde knows, because you're my student as well. It's about a frequency that we connect with. The fasting gets us there in the beginning, and after that, a while, the body really retains that energy, and you learn how to work with it much better.
Yeah, it's such a transformational energy, I found, like from the process. So do you want to talk a little bit how it transformed your life?
Sure, sure. Well, the first thing I noticed on the physical body is that I no longer get sick. I sleep significantly less. I have more energy. I don't have the ups and downs that people have after lunch or anything like that. On the emotional level, I feel much more connected to my feminine side. Not in a way that I became a sissy or something like that, but I became more tolerant. I became more green, more patient, more accepting, even working much more on my humbleness. On the spiritual side, and this is something that most people don't understand because the spiritual body is the most neglected one. I started becoming the observant of this Ray person that I now understand he's completely temporary and completely not my true self. So when I put him aside, I suddenly became much more of myself. And then the natural gifts that I were born with started coming. My ability to express myself, my ability to put things together. A lot of things happened, like my YouTube channel became bigger. I decided my life changed because instead of just working in IT, which I still enjoy until this day, I started teaching it. And in the beginning, I didn't want to teach because I was like, everybody is responsible for their own thing. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a website. And those that are looking for me will find me online. But I was slowly pushed towards, being on the stage and in the front. And I was called to prove it on TV and in a reality show and all this type of stuff. So it really put me in front of everybody. And that actually was challenging specifically because of ego. Once you're in front of everybody, we call it the path of fame and fortune. Once people start getting more money, more familiar, then their ego becomes big. They think that it's all about them. So it's a challenge to always keep yourself as humble as you can, and always remember that we are all one, and then we can view each other in the same line of height, you can say. What else transformed in my life? I started teaching this amazing thing because I told myself I was looking for other things, other processes like this, stuff like that really change your mind, using tools and changing the operating system and the belief system of a person. And I couldn't find anything as powerful. I just couldn't. Even the Wim Hof thing with the ice and the immune system, it wasn't as powerful as changing the one fundamental principle of we have to have food. And we have to have 3 meals a day, and we have to have 2 liters of water. And when you take that away from someone, he starts questioning reality. Why do I have to sleep? Why do I have to get sick? Why do I have to stay in my job or in a relationship that I no longer enjoy? All these questions, like these real fundamental, profound questions about our life starts coming up. And then we decide and understand that we are the masters of our own creation. And we are the manifestors. And once we take responsibility for the success and the failure, and once we learn these basic principles that I wrote in my second and first books, then you really live a life that is more satisfying. And the reason for that is that 99% of the thoughts of an average human being is about the future and about the past. And you're no longer there. There's no reason to think about the future. There's no reason to think about the past. There's only being present. And that is childlike. A child is present. A child plays. When he's in pain, he hurts and he cries. When he's in happiness, he's all happiness, So you learn to live like that most of your life. And that is a gift I never assumed I will ever get from something like this. Like never really assumed.
Live in the flow. The flow of
Yeah. Yeah, and the flow is, the path of least resistance. You learn what is the path of least resistance. Why do I need to struggle? Because God made a perfect plan for every one of us. If you want to call him God or creator or the universe. And the more we struggle, the more we see it. We see it by our intuition, by our feelings. We see that things simply don't work out. And instead of questioning ourselves, why did we do wrong? We blame other people. We blame creation. We blame the circumstances. And when we look within, we see that the people, the circumstances, God, is a reflection of our strongest desires and beliefs. And therefore, it is a lesson for us to learn. And as long as it's coming back, we're not learning the lesson.
And I really feel that for me, that the breatharian initiation was like my peak experience, you could say. So it really is really, really high vibrational energies that you come into contact with. And like, how can you balance this with your normal job and just yeah, it must be hard to juggle this balance.
Not really. I see everything as one. The human experience for me was something that I had to learn from a different perspective, because at a very, very young age, I started reading all this channeled information. I was very attracted to X-Files and aliens, and I was having my own research and stuff like that. And I always felt like I didn't belong. And I understood that my mental capacity matured much faster than my human capacity to enjoy nature, to enjoy human emotions and everything like that. Not that, we're all type of aliens, but what I'm saying is that most kids grow more emotional and they learn how to use their logical mind. And I grew logical and I eventually learned how to communicate and how to be more emotional. So it was quite reversed for me. And it's made a very interesting life. And this is, by the way, why for me the integration is easier than to other people, because a lot of people have emotional eating patterns that they're having a difficult time to get rid of. And for me, it never existed because everything was like a decision.
Yeah, like you just made the decision and then you went for it.
Yeah, and it's easy because you don't. It's like a horse, in the horse track that they put these things, and you don't look to the right, you don't look to the left. So all you have is, your path, your chosen path.
Yeah.
But that brings up a really good question. We both have watched the experiment or documentary or whatever you want to call it that you did on Israel TV, and everyone who's out there saying, "Oh, this isn't possible," should watch that, and I think we'll link to it so that people can find it. But on there, the doctor and the reporter, their kind of conclusion was that you are just superhuman. You're in like elite condition, and that's the reason why you can do this. So
I know. Yeah, that's what they said. They always try to bring it to me, and I try to bring it to the fact that everybody can do it, but you have to switch your belief system. And I believe that anybody from 16, 17-year-olds, and now in 1 week, I'm going to teach somebody that's 82 years old. So I believe they're capable of doing it. I know the biology behind it. Like, let's think about something that everyone that is skeptical and a little bit scientifically oriented, this is one of the facts that you need to understand. So we all know that the body has 70% water, right? Everybody talks about it. We learned about it in preschool. So how is it that nature will create something that in every day that we don't drink, we waste about 1 liter of water? If I weigh 75 and I'm about 50 liters of water, and every day I waste only 1 liter of water, how is it possible that I'm supposed to die after 3 days if my body still has something like 65% water? So how come the body doesn't know how to use that water, how to get it out? And this is something that happens in the breatharian initiation. The body actually learns that when you are calm, when you're doing breathing techniques, it can actually take the deep water, continue to cleanse the blood using the different organs and stuff like that. People continue to urinate. They even have clear pee after 3 or 4 days. It's quite amazing. And when you understand that, and again, this is just one thing. There's other things as well that we can talk about. The fact that the human being has DNA that is much more developed than a tree, because the human being has a type of consciousness that is above that. So how can a tree create energy, and why can't a human being create energy from the sun as well? And there's a lot of things that have to do with what we call the scientists call the junk DNA, which is actually something that is hidden and deactivated DNA, that we're slowly understanding that it's more about our consciousness, our ability not to think more, but our ability to think, to be, to talk to each other telepathically, to see the future before it happens. So all these things, and the placebo effect, this is the number one. This is something that is amazing for me. Everybody talks about the fact that there is a placebo effect. Nobody's teaching you how to use the placebo effect to heal yourself, to change your body. Exactly. Yeah, and everybody's okay with it. Yeah, the doctors say, sure, yeah, we have medicine. We did the placebo effect, so this medicine, we know that it works. Good. Why don't you teach everybody to fake the belief, and then you don't have to have any medicine, you don't have to have any sickness, you don't have to have cancer. And it's hard. It's hard for some people to grasp it, to understand that the belief is just like anything else. We can change it. We just have to know the right people. We have to follow the right guidance, and that's it. And it's not that complicated as well. You saw it, right? It's more free. We are more afraid before we do it, and after that we understand. Wait a second, what just happened? Something in me changed. Yeah.
I think, yeah, that was remarkable for me as well, because yes, I did feel that fear, and I think you remember that too. I approached you a few times about that, like if I was too old and these things, you know. And still, I mean, I was so proud of myself afterwards for having done it, and so successfully, and I felt awesome and just like on top of the world. And yeah, so I can see that it doesn't really matter about your age, and it is a state of mind, and just opening your body to a different way of accessing the energies. And so many magical things happened in the after the initiation also, because like I met my twin flame here, and we're building up this webpage together, and so many amazing things. This whole year has been just,
I told you, it's the cuckoo list. People don't believe me. That exercise is exactly for this.
I remember you said that
she's living proof that it works. Yeah.
You said that 1 year from now you won't recognize your own light. So yeah, that was true. A lot of things have changed, and just like with this whole Kundalini energy and sexual energies and stuff, I really want to discuss this with you as well, because it's
okay.
So interesting, and we're trying to sort out mentally, like, what is chi, what is the life force energy, and what is the sexual energy. How are they different? Or
okay. I'll let you. Let's, instead of talking about the differences, let's try to define them. Yeah. So the sexual energy, which some people actually say that is very similar to the Kundalini energy because they originate in the same area. Imagine what happens to a man when he ejaculates. He ejaculates actually 250 million sperms. And that's the reason why men are usually very, very tired afterwards. It's because this is condensed with the sexual energy itself. Now imagine that you can populate all of Europe with one orgasm, pretty much. So the sexual energy is very, very different. It originates from the base chakra, and you can breathe up that sexual energy. In other words, most men don't know that they can really separate the orgasm itself from the ejaculation. A good way to practice that, by the way, is when you pee and the current is at its peak, you hold it, you stop it. And that's the muscle that you train to stop the whole wave. Now, Qigong works on prana. It's the same thing pretty much. The Japanese, by the way, have another name for it, and ancient English people also had a different name for it. We just call it prana because that's the way that we were taught. That's all. It's the universal energy. And we activate it usually by the breath in the beginning when we're training. It's the energy that is all around us, and it's mostly in nature. So usually people that go out to nature, they don't feel like eating too much. That's because the flowers, the trees, the ground itself is actually emanating this energy. Unlike people who are in the cities that need a little bit more of physical food, exactly because of that, because they don't have the fresh air, because they don't have the energy around. But this energy can also come to you when you're doing yoga positions and Falun Dafa, like I taught you. It can also come to you because of your own happiness. When you understand that you're excited about something, your body elevates its frequency. Now, imagine, what do I mean when I say frequency? It's the vibration of the body itself. And a virus has a vibration. A sickness, cancer, has a vibration. What happens if the individual raises his awareness and consciousness above a certain vibration? Those things cannot reach him. So he immediately, this is why, by the way, you have spontaneous healing. People who spontaneously heal from cancer, not a remission, not a process, not something that takes a few weeks because they changed their diet or did a detox or anything like that. One night, poof, complete remission, zero. And of course, the doctors currently don't know how to explain how that works, but it's also because of that. They raised the vibration enough. And this is why, by the way, I highly recommend always doing things to raise your vibration on all different levels. Most people should ask themselves, do I have enough fun in my life? Do I have people in my life that give me energy? And how do I get rid of the people who take my energy away? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about tantric sex, we're talking about raising the sexual energy in the body. And what happens is it's like a wave, and then it goes down, and then a wave, and then it goes down. Eventually, the wave itself goes up all the way. For the men and the women, it will feel like sexual arousal, sexual arousal. And where most people peak, you take it down a notch. You're at 80%, 90%, you're almost at an orgasm. And then instead of going to the peak, you wait, you slow down, you go down a little bit, and then you start again. And then when you start again, you will see that you are going to pass the first point of the orgasm. In other words, again, it's going up and then down a little bit, and then up and down. And then after about 3 or 4 cycles, most people do choose to have an orgasm, to experience an orgasm. And those that are well practiced, they won't have to ejaculate while they're doing that. It will be very powerful, much more powerful than the average person does. Women usually know because women have extraordinary orgasms compared to men, which just explode and finish with it, you know. And that's the way that you use the sexual energy. But depriving yourself of the sexual energy will actually increase your creativity. You will notice that a lot of people that refrain from having any sexual encounter, by the way, they are very highly creative. And a lot of people like that are very connected as well. It's monks that choose to live a minimalistic lifestyle, for example. They choose to give up women. They choose to give up certain foods. They choose to wear only one cape and cut their hair out to remove any sign of individuality. And they have a very fulfilling life. Science supports the fact that they're happier than most of us.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask about like with the third eye activation also, and you know, the sexual energy it creates, like you were saying. So what is the connection between the third eye and the sexual energy? And
there's no direct connection between the sexual energy and the third eye. The third eye has a different purpose. Yeah. Its purpose is for foresight. Yeah. Actually, the pineal gland, we were talking before we started the recording about the secretion that you have when you go through the pranic initiation. It's very rare. I know I taught about 1,000, almost 1,050 people until now, and I only had 3 cases of people that started opening that part in the palate of the mouth. And I'll just explain it to the viewers. What happens is after a few days of dry fasting, usually after 4 or 5, sometimes it's after even 8, 9, the palate actually starts opening up. The skin becomes, it's like a rash. You don't feel very well with it. And if the person continues without taking any water, it actually opens up and you can actually take this thing that some people call it manna, some people call it, there's different names for it in different languages. It's quite amazing.
Yeah,
and
the chrism, I've heard
chrism. Okay, yeah, I think.
We are wondering if it could also be the soma, you know, like...
You have a theory. I don't know about that. I can tell you that when I asked Bashar about it, when I was building my own processes, then I interviewed the entity Bashar to understand a little bit more about their civilization and how they became breatharians. And he explained to me that it's the pineal gland secretion itself. Because when a baby is born, you notice that his not brain, but his bone structure, you know, there's a little opening right here, and it takes some time until it closes. When we breathe, especially what I taught you, the exercises that we breathe prana in, we always say that we have to take them in from the crown chakra. And I asked him why, and he told me because the first thing that the energy touches is the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is responsible for the transformation of spiritual energy from higher dimensions to the physical level. And if you touch your palate exactly where the opening is, you will understand that the closest thing to it, about 2 centimeters up, is the pineal gland. When you are breathing through your nose, you're actually activating your pineal gland more than when you're breathing through your mouth. Because it moves, if you look at the structure itself, it's going up and down. So it's quite amazing. This is, by the way, why cocaine and other drugs that you snort, when you are snorting them, they go much faster into the bloodstream because they're moving very, very close to the pineal gland as well. to all the blood vessels of the brain.
Yeah, but I still feel that there is some kind of connection because, you know, in the way that when you're talking about manifestation work, it happens through the sacral chakra, but also you have to kind of mentally visualize it, or kind of, you know, how you always say that you visualize what you want and you send the beautiful thoughts to it and experience it as if you are there, and then you let it go. So it's like there is some kind of magic that happens in that manifestation process, the way I understand it, but I don't know.
Okay, but what do you think is the connection with that and the pineal?
No, that's what I was saying.
We don't know.
We don't,
just wondering.
We just wanted to hear you elaborate on this.
Right.
I don't think there's a connection. Actually, the more time I spend here, the more I think that we're going through stages of understandings, and the final stage of understanding is that this world is our own creation, and everybody in it is really not, we don't really exist. Even if we look within ourselves and ask ourselves, do I exist? You will get a very strong sensation that the answer is no. You are a dream within a dream. The problem is that you have been playing this dream for so long that you forgot that you are dreaming, and you're kind of stuck. And everything around you is trying to wake you up, and you just don't want to wake up.
This reminds me of Avatar, the movie. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, Avatar or Inception also works that way, or The Matrix also works that way.
We could segue to manifestation.
Yeah, I think so. And where's the book again? Yeah, I would love to hear you talk more about the book and why you think it's so important with manifestation for spiritual people. You know, like what is
well, spiritual people have a few very powerful limiting beliefs that that because we define ourselves as spiritual, then we think that money can be evil, and we think that we don't need a lot, and we allow the people that have a lot to actually rule the world and then kind of destroy the world that we really like to create. So I wrote the book because I understood that there's no two paths. It's not that I'm either spiritual or materialistic. There's a path that combines our spiritual aspiration with our materialistic desires. And, you know, even when I say materialistic, and some of you, the viewers, are going to say, "Ooh, I don't want to be materialistic." You are materialistic. Everybody is materialistic. We are created of matter right now. So what I decided to do is to combine and to show that we are capable of doing everything together. This is what I'm doing now. You know, I'm working 2 jobs. I'm chasing after more subscribers and more people to join the workshops, and I'm enjoying it. It's like it became sort of like a game. It's not even about money anymore. It's about enjoying myself and having more challenges and more challenges. And I think that most of my participants, about half of the participants, are from the low budget category. And that means that they're always trying to save up because they're always in a lack mentality. And when we are lacking, then we are vibrating. I don't have enough. I don't have enough. I don't have enough to the universe. And the universe has absolutely nothing to do but comply and bring us more things to complain about and less things to have. But when you are saying, I have enough, I have a lot, I have a lot, I'm very grateful for everything that I have all the time, then the universe, as a magnet, as a mirror, will always have to bring you more things to be grateful for. It's such simple logic, but we keep on forgetting it. So I decided to write down all of my ideas about it, and practices and exercises and visualizations about it, and you know, the different attributes of a person that thinks in that particular way. Because I can tell you, like you said that you had a crazy year, I've had a crazy 5 or 6 years, okay? I do not recognize the person that I used to be. I've changed in every way. I'm married now. I used to be polyamorous. I don't know how you say it in English. I have a baby. I have a little garden. I'm becoming more and more normal with time. You know, I'm enjoying my life. I'm dreaming. I'm living my dream life. Teaching every month in another country, meeting amazing light workers, expanding consciousness, dealing with the challenges as they come in a very, very easy and humbling way. You know, accepting creation itself. And this book was about. It took me only 8 days to write it.
Really?
In 8 days, I wrote every night. I was in a process in New York City, and every night I came back from the evening meditation and I started writing, and I let my hands just write by themselves. And I had all these ideas. In the beginning, it was like the chapters, And then each chapter, it was sub-chapters, and then they just started writing. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. I don't have to do any work. And now I feel like an author. When you have one book, but when you have two books, it's like, yeah, okay, now I'm an author. Now I'm waiting for the idea to come.
Yes, is there another book coming?
Not yet. I'm thinking about it. I think that my next book it might be about spiritual parenting.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And I need to work on myself to be the ultimate spiritual parent, and I'm not there yet. I'm getting there.
That's another thing we really wanted to hear from you a little bit about, like, how is family life when you're being breatharian, and how are the meals? What do they look like? And your daughter.
It's difficult. It's much more difficult. I can tell you that I didn't used to suffer from emotional habits, and now I feel like I want to eat more, and I feel like I'm not a part of the family when they're sitting and eating together like before. And like during the day, it's easy. I'm in my office, and in my office, I never eat breakfast, I never eat lunch, so it's easy. I just come there. Sometimes I have a tea, sometimes I have a coffee for the whole day. I come back home, and suddenly I feel like having food, and I'm like, but where is this coming from? Sometimes it's because my wife wants to eat and she doesn't want to eat alone, so I sit with her. And sometimes just tell her, okay, baby, no, it's Sunday, Monday, I'm fasting these days, I don't want to. So it's a little bit more challenging. And in the beginning, I was a bachelor. When you opened my fridge, all you saw was 2 bottles, empty. Now we have a huge fridge, and ask her why. My wife is 40 kilos, she hardly eats, I hardly eat. Our baby is 1.5 years old. And she wanted, it's that time then when a woman has a baby, then she's creating the perfect house for a family. So she wanted a big ass fridge. So now I opened this fridge and I'm like, wow, it's full of stuff. So it's more challenging than before.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll figure out a really good balance, but I can see that that was the most difficult bit from coming back from the initiation, is the social aspects and all the mind game.
True.
Yeah. So, but we'll make sure to put links on our webpage to your.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll do that, and
we'll also
thank you
link
so
to
much.
We'll also link to your website if anyone wants to find one of your courses, so they can do.
Awesome. Yeah, they can just Google my name, Ray Maor, and I think there's lots of entries. There's lots of YouTube videos and stuff like that. Do you enjoy? Are you still looking at the new updated videos, the ones that I take out every week?
Yeah, I saw the one you just sent me. Yeah.
Is there anything interesting that you guys want me to do about? Any subject that is interesting for you and we haven't touched yet?
Yeah, I think that we haven't touched now. I was thinking about this whole with chi and the sexual energy, to kind of like talk about this to clarify for people, because sometimes people think it's the same. So I don't know if it's really that important, but still it's kind of nice to understand the different things, what's going on, because a lot of people are opening up to these strange things happening to them now, and with the Kundalini awakenings, and so it's nice for people to have the tools there to understand what's going on.
It's really a crazy time for humanity. Have you noticed the last couple of months how things are changing so fast?
It's beautiful.
Seems like it, yes.
It's amazing.
Something very
And even with this full moon yesterday, I woke up this morning just feeling hallelujah, like happy for no reason. Do you remember? Happy for no reason.
Happy for no reason.
I love that. So yeah, it was just an amazing morning, and just feeling so happy inside. So yeah, it's a good time. Very exciting. But do you have any things that you feel it's going on right now, except that like it is the change and transformation?
I do. I feel like the darkest part of the night is behind us, and I feel like from the gray zone, different truths are going to emerge, which are already starting, and I can see them happening. I feel like my body is a little bit lighter. It's like I'm floating a little bit, and it's like before that I had to think about happiness, and now happiness kind of like flows much easier. I would say the best sensation is bliss. And not only that, I've tried, I don't know if you guys have ever tried any alternative medicine and stuff like that. I've tried something amazing. And I had no idea that humanity even received it, but it opened up my crown immediately to the non-dual. I say it's an enlightenment experience, and it's only 10 minutes. And once I went there, it's only 10 minutes. It's called DMT5-MeO, and I made a whole video about it.
Yep.
And when I experienced that, I understood that humanity has reached a level where we can understand God, like really understand that we are God, we are creation, we are waking up, and everything is exactly, you know, aligned towards how it's supposed to be. And for people like us, you know, people who are light workers, what you guys are doing is serving humanity. You understand that, and this is why I participate with you, because I understand that there's a harmony with it, and everybody's eventually going to go towards serving other people. And imagine that. Imagine a couple that is married, that they're always looking after each other and not arguing. You know, she's always taking care of what he needs. He always thinks about her needs before his needs. Imagine that all of humanity will be in love with one another, and everybody will act exactly the same. Everybody will be super polite. Everybody will take care of each other. That is the direction I believe that we are heading to. Are we going to get there in our life? I don't know, but I feel like this is the birth of something that is new, something that I've been waiting for many, many years. I feel like I'm already seeing more of my type of people and less of the other type of people. So I'm actually thinking, has the timeline changed? Have we moved into a parallel existence? Because that's the way that they explained to me is going to happen. They said that we're actually going to, certain people, we're not going to see them, sort of like people we went to high school with, that we don't really think about them anymore. So it's like there's a split that is occurring, and I really feel the split that is happening right now on every level.
But the same thing, you know, like maybe we are just moving in different directions.
I think we are. I think we are.
So it's very exciting times.
It is. I think this is why we bought the tickets to the Planet Earth show. This is the time.
Make the
You
most
can
of
sit,
it.
relax, watch the film.
And you can go towards your highest potential.
Yeah, and I do feel like I defined my life, you know, stage one as the stage that was challenging, the stage that I made many errors, and now I kind of like feel it's stage two, isn't it? Yeah, and in stage two, we're just supposed to have fun.
Just relax.
Yeah, you know, we still have work to do. But we're enjoying it much more.
Okay, I think it's time for us
Yes,
to
we should let you
wrap it
go,
up
I think.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for doing this. Yeah.
It's so much fun. So,
Oh,
yep.
All right. Thank you.
okay. Bye.